Welcome to 10 for 10, a series of interviews with personalities and dedicated leaders across the Major Arena Soccer League, which is celebrating its 10th anniversary. I'm your host, Erik Bergrud. For this week's episode, I am joined by Pete Richmire, someone who wears multiple hats across the MASL. Welcome to 10 for 10, Pete.
Thank you very much. Absolutely enjoy this series. Fascinating look at some of the people around the league.
Well, welcome. So I'm going to ask you your first question. Pete, can you share with us your first indoor soccer experience?
Yeah, my first indoor soccer experience, we have to go back to 1987 when I was a fan at the Tacoma Dome in Game 7 against Dallas, sitting in the stands for that. But working in the league, 2014, I was a fill-in public address announcer for the Seattle Impact, and then came back with the Stars a couple of years later.
So you mentioned part of my next question, but let me ask you this way. So what are your roles with the Stars today, and how did you first get involved with them?
How it worked was I got a call from Jason Prenoveau. He was the athletic director. He is the athletic director at TCC. Said a buddy of his needed some help with an outdoor team, and that was Darren Sawatsky with the Sounders U23. And he said, hey, come on in. We're doing this indoor thing. Usually as a DJ. So the first couple of years, I was the arena DJ at the Acesso Showwear Center. And then that filled into communications director. And now I no longer DJ, but I do run the game entertainment.
So in addition to working for the Stars, you also fulfill communications responsibilities for the Kansas City Comets. How do you manage your workload for both teams, especially on busy soccer weekends?
I love it. It's an early start, especially with the East Coast teams starting off earlier than we do here. It can be a little hectic when the Stars and the Comets both play on the same day, but it's usually a couple hours to put together each team's game notes, and then the stat pack on top of that. So there's some hours to it, but I work from home. Love my job. I mean, it's certainly not work to me.
So if the Stars and the Comets aren't enough, you also serve as MASL statistician. For the benefit of our viewers, what does a league statistician position entail?
I took over for Alan from Dallas a couple of years ago, and he had it set up fantastically. What I did is I integrated a daily stat pack, which is 34 pages that has stats from all the teams, records, my power play percentages, league leaders. We produce that every day for each team. And then on top of that, I do scoring changes. So if a player comes and says, hey, that assist should have been mine, or I should have had a block here, or, I think I tipped that one, that goal belongs to me. I review those and make changes if necessary.
So many fans have encountered you in a different role. That's your role as a Twitch in-game moderator.
Yes.
What is it like to moderate those chats, and what does it take for an unruly participant to be put in timeout?
That can be challenging. Well, I always try to warn them. Basically, it's not even really a fine line from saying that was a horrible play to that player bleep, bleep, bleep. Obviously, we like the banter. We like the fact that people are going to say, hey, what was he thinking? What kind of call was that? But when you personally attack somebody, if you actually start calling people names, or your main job in the chat is just to troll people and pick bites, get out of there.
So obviously you're busy with wearing these multiple hats. During a typical week, how many MASL games do you watch?
All of them. I watch, obviously, Comets games and Stars games live because I tweet for both teams during the games. And then when the Comets are playing on a day where the Stars are not, I do the recap for the press releases as well. But I watch every single game starting the day after in the morning to make sure that, on one screen I have the stats up, the other screen I'm watching the game and just taking a look.
And then how many games on a typical week are you moderating in Twitch?
Usually On game days where there's not the stars, I'll do 1 or 2 per day where there's games. So on average, 4 or 5 games a week.
Okay. So speaking of these two teams, you recently made a Midwest road trip and staffed the Stars game in Kansas City, interacting with colleagues from both franchises.
Yes.
What was that experience like?
I loved it. That was fantastic. Getting to see the crew there in Kansas City, Nate Herron, Bud, and I mean, you, Nick, and Ken Stanley, Nathan Dunn, Brian Roth, Daniel Jackson. I mean, just fantastic people out there. Loved it. What can be challenging sometimes is when I'm tweeting. I tweeted that game for both the Comets and the Stars. So you get a goal from one team and it's like, hey, and then you turn around and you tweet, oh. So it's fun.
So you mentioned that you're on the West Coast. For the benefit of fans who do not live in the Pacific time zone, what is it like to watch games 11 a.m. Sunday and 3 p.m. Saturday when those are East Coast starts much, much later on Twitch?
I would rather do that than watch a game at 10 o'clock in the evening from the East Coast to the West Coast. So it actually works out pretty well. I typically start my day at 8 a.m. on the East Coast time, so 5 o'clock here. So all of my work's done before that first game, and then I'll watch the 11 o'clock game, 3 o'clock, and then 7 o'clock games on the West Coast. Full day of soccer.
That sounds like a full day of soccer. A broader question for you. Professional soccer in the Pacific Northwest has a storied past. Where do the Tacoma Stars fit in this 50-year history?
When they played at the Tacoma Dome, and to this day they have the world record attendance for indoor soccer game, 27,000 fans. It's been amazing. It's been an incredible run for the Stars. I remember going back even to when the Seattle Sounders played indoor soccer, NASL. They played in the Kingdome, the indoor soccer league for the NASL, and those games were amazing. Interestingly enough, the boards from the Kingdome are at the training facility for the Tacoma Stars at the Tacoma Soccer Center. So some history there. But soccer in the Northwest is amazing. The Stars are huge, not obviously like they were back in the MASL days, but faithful following for sure. So, we have some fans that, they were at KC, they were at St. Louis. We got some fans that travel everywhere that the Stars travel. So it's definitely a culture out here, and I'm proud to be a part of it.
So I take it you didn't predict when you were watching the Dallas Sidekicks knock out the Tacoma Stars that in 2024, you and Tattoo would be colleagues in the MASL.
He's a fantastic guy. That's another thing that I'm really happy with my job with the league is I get to communicate with all of these PR departments for every single team, the statisticians for every single team across the league. And it's a pretty fortunate position that I'm in to be able to talk to these people. And Tattoo is one of my favorite people.
So my final question for you, Pete, if you had to pick your favorite moment of the MASL's first 10 years, what would it be and why?
Hands down, the MASL All-Star game at Kansas City. It was right in the middle of the pandemic. It was up in the air what was happening with just about everything in the country. And, the owners of the teams that were involved got together, made it happen, and it was magical. It was fantastic to see all the players from around the league there at Cable Dahmer Arena, and just great to be a part of. So that was absolutely my favorite moment.
Well, since I was there and since I had the privilege of calling the game with Nick Bastos, I could say that was a special memory for me too. But I wasn't sure what you were going to answer, but that is definitely a signature moment for this league.
And to go to one of your sayings, Corey Keats got 2 that day. So
that is exactly right. Who's going to be the hero? You have to watch the game to find out.
There you go.
So, Pete, thank you so much for your time. And thanks to each of you for joining us. We will be back soon with another 10 for 10 interview.
Thanks, Erik.
Thank you.